Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, best-selling author and recipient of more than 25 honorary doctorates, identified 5 stages of transition relating to death and dying. The cycle of grief and loss, as it was called, was initially devised to assist people to undergo a healthy grieving process after bereavement. Subsequently, it has been adapted as a tool to aid transition through all types of loss. The feeling of loss is commonly reported by people abstaining from alcohol. Not simply the loss of alcohol, but losses pertaining to the underlying issues that give rise to destructive drinking. For example, loss of relationships, loss of identity, loss of childhood, and loss of employment. Consequently, the cycle of grief and loss has become a particularly effective tool for monitoring and measuring progress along the road to freedom. In addition to the 5 stages of loss and grief devised by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, there is one additional transitory stage commonly experienced during the early stage of sobriety, the honeymoon period, which generally commences a few months after the acceptance stage. The stages are as follows: denial, bargaining, anger, depression, acceptance, and the honeymoon period. What follows is a series of short video clips to help you understand and identify these stages. The objective of the information is to heighten your awareness as to the things you may encounter rather than the things you will encounter. Do not expect these things to occur. Simply be prepared for them should they show up and follow the guidelines suggested to deal with them. All right, mate.
All right, buddy. It's good to see you again. You know.
Yeah.
Hey, I can't smell booze again, can I? I mean, you haven't got this problem again, have you?
God, what to do with you? You know, it's not a problem. I had a couple of beers on the way home from work. That's all. You know, it's not a problem. Mate.
I can't believe it. I mean,
what do you mean?
Well, you're saying it's not a problem. You've lost your job over this. I mean, think about it. You've lost your job over it. You've lost your wife over it. She's kicked you out. The kids don't like even being with you now because the smell of it on your breath, you know, and how you're falling about everywhere. Well, these are the facts. This is what's going on. I mean, all these things are happening, and it's not going to get anywhere. And you're saying, I haven't got a problem. I haven't got a problem. There's no problem. I've only had a few. But the few, it's not even just a few. It's a problem. You've got to stop it. It won't go away if you keep saying I haven't got a problem.
It's just going on, you know. I'm just sick of it. I'm just sick of hearing it all. It's not a problem at all.
Do you know? I feel really sad seeing you like this. I'm your brother, and I can't bear to see you destroy yourself in this way. When we were little, we were so close and so together, and you're just letting it all fall apart and saying there's no problem. I can't take it. I've got to go. I've had enough.
Denial can manifest as fear, protecting the habit, refusal or inability to face problems, delusion, escapism, defense against the truth and reality, or a coping mechanism for survival. Denial is a defense mechanism designed to protect the alcohol habit when it is perceived as a best friend or cure-all. At this stage, people tend to defend the habit because they are frightened to abstain and face reality. Life is perceived as unbearable without alcohol. They are often overwhelmed by feelings of fear, guilt, pain, and futility, and misguidedly seek refuge in the very thing that causes them problems, alcohol. Although people in denial are under the illusion that alcohol still performs some positive function, many have crossed the abreactive threshold and experience only destruction and heartache.
All right, mate. Listen, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about what's going on. I know, I haven't been myself and stuff like that. But if only, if only the kids had come back and whatever, and I haven't got a job anymore, have I? And that's why I'm drinking. I wouldn't drink, if the kids had come back and Jenny and the kids had come back, and a job,
I mean,
honest, mate.
But Paul, how many times have we heard all these, if only this, if only that? And with the kids, I mean, the job ended because of your drinking on the job, and you were not physically capable of doing it. Jenny had enough of you because of the drink and how you were going on, and the kids too. They've all just had enough. They've really had a belly full, and you're talking as if they were all there, everything would be fine. But it's not fine. It's you drinking all the time that's made you lose your job, lose your wife. And saddest of all, and it really upsets me, is seeing the kids and how they don't want to be near you because you're falling over or your breath stinks.
Okay, fair enough, but I've thought about this now, and what I'll do, it's the spirits and that and the wine and all that, that's the problem. What I'll do is I'll just stick to beer. I'll just have beer, and I'll just thought I'd drink maybe once a week on a Friday night, just have a couple, just to relax and whatever.
I can't tell you how much that saddens me to hear you talking in this way again, as if you just have a little bit here, like all the tiny increments, and then you don't work in small slices. You don't. It's Magnus Magnusson. I've started, so I'll finish. You have one and then you're having more, and you never just have a few beers. It leads to getting plastered and spirits. It's not like, it's the thin end of a wedge. It's not like you can just contain it.
Okay, all right, but I'll just tell you this, that was just the phase I was going through, mate. Honestly, I was going through a phase, all of these things were happening. My head wasn't right and I was drinking heavy. It's not like that now because, I've gone through that now. I'll be okay now.
Bargaining. The what if or if only stage. The common premises of the bargaining stage are, if only this or that wasn't happening, then I wouldn't drink. What if I just have one or two drinks on a Friday night? What if I just stick to beer? What if I only drink at home? It's just the phase I'm going through. I'm in control now. How many times have you heard yourself using these phrases? People in the bargaining stage have not accepted having crossed the abreactive threshold, but they have acknowledged that a problem exists. They know they need to do something about their drinking, but they try to soften the blow by believing they can reduce their alcohol intake rather than completely abstaining. Don't be seduced by the maladaptive strategies of your unconscious mind. One drink will inevitably lead to many. Beer will lead to spirits, and drinking at home will lead to losing your house. Don't succumb to bargaining. Control your mind. Don't allow your mind to control you.
Hey, listen, it's really nice to be here, bro, and I'm glad we got a bit of time to spend together. But I couldn't help noticing that you just seem a little bit edgy, like you're tense about something. Or is everything okay? I mean, are we okay?
No, everything's not okay. I'm just really pissed off, to be honest with you. How it come it is that, I can't go out and have a few drinks, without everybody giving it that, Jenny, the kids, my that ex-boss of mine, and done my head in, he thinks he's the number one, swanning round there in front of everybody in his posh suits and all that, comes and sacks me because I'm drinking. He drinks, you know what I mean? I don't know what the score is, I just hate everyone at the moment. As far as I'm concerned with Jenny, especially Jenny and the kids even, the nag, that's all you get out of them. really just pissed off with it all.
Anger manifests in the following ways. Why can everybody else have a drink and I can't? Acceptance of having crossed the abreactive threshold. Recognition that alcohol no longer provides relief from unresolved issues. Feeling betrayed. Looking for a scapegoat to blame. People at the anger stage commonly become angry at themselves, life events, others, and God. Their anger is often accompanied by feelings of rage, resentment, and confusion. After admitting having an alcohol habit and accepting that bargaining doesn't work, they feel cornered and strike out at those around them. Their fear and frustration often leads to shadow projection, a phenomenon whereby they see their own shortcomings and character defects situated in other people and use them as scapegoats. It's all their fault, they exclaim. After fruitlessly expending large amounts of energy on directing their anger externally, they turn it in on themselves and it translates to depression.
Well, thanks for letting us in. I was worried at first when your phone was just ringing out all the time. And I haven't seen you like this. You seem really, I mean, I'm not being confrontational, but you seem like really low and on the floor. And I want you to be able to talk it out, really, because, I'm your brother. I am here for you. And I love you like a brother. And I want to help you. So can you tell me about it? What is it?
I don't really want to talk, to be honest with you, but it's, I just feel really down, mate. I've lost my job, I've lost the kids, I've lost, I've lost my dignity. Nobody wants to know me anymore, and it's not really surprising. And the only thing that ever made me feel better was drink, and now I feel like I've had my best friend taken away from me. When I felt like this before, I just had a drink and I felt much better, and I don't know, mate, just like life's not worth living anymore, I feel like I'll never feel the way I did before. I can't socialise, can't do anything, it's just, I don't know, I just feel like I'm finished.
Depression manifests as mourning the loss of a perceived ally, loss of a lifestyle, loss of identity, barrenness, sterility, meaninglessness, futility, feelings of being deprived, life without alcohol is awful, numbness. Exhausted from denial, bargaining didn't work, anger has been exhausted, and so a huge void opens up inside and depression descends. People often vacillate between the two latter stages, anger and depression, not knowing how to break the cycle. If this state of imbalance persists, relapse usually occurs. Anger and depression are signs that your delusion has ended and reality is setting in. They are indicative of progression, although it may not feel like at the time. When you reach these stages, it is imperative that you seek help with your unresolved issues, the issues that underlie your destructive tendencies. This is a prime opportunity to identify and process the root causes of your destructive drinking and eradicate them. Working through your unresolved issues can be an adventure that is both rewarding and enlightening. Don't miss the opportunity. Remember, the most effective way to escape your problems is to solve them. Keep looking forward and remember the infinite possibilities that are now just over the horizon. Progress, don't regress.
It's good to see you again.
All right, mate.
It's really nice to see you. And I must say, you're actually looking better than I've seen you for a long time. You know, you seem, I don't know, more happy or content.
Yeah, it's been 3 months now since I've had a drink, and it's not easy, mate. But you know, yous were right all along. You, Jenny, the kids. You know, even me boss who I hated. You were right. You know, I just don't know what it is, but when I drink, you know, I drink to destruction, really, and I know that now in my heart. You know, I really do accept that. But it's not easy. You know,
Sure.
I'm part of me's really grateful that, you know, I've had 3 months away and I haven't got all the shit that was going on in my life.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm filled and riddled with guilt. You know, I keep going back and thinking, you know, the things I've done. I remember stealing out of Jenny's purse, you know, to even taking some money out the kids' money box, you know, to get drink. And what happens when you drink and you don't think about all these things?
Sure.
And then when, you know, when you're off the drink, all the guilt comes back, and I think that's probably what makes you go back out there. You know, you're thinking, oh, if I have a drink, all this will go away. But I totally accept now it won't, because I've tried it, mate. You know, I've tried it, and you know how many times I've tried everything. I've tried, you know, drinking beer, drinking on a Friday, which I was never gonna do. You know, I've tried all these different things, and I thought it was a phase I was going through. But now I totally accept, mate. Every time I drink, it's destruction. And at the moment, you know, I'm thankful, but I'm finding it really hard, because it's like all the issues that drink seem to mask, to cover up, come back, and you get all these insecurities. I've lost my job, as you know, and I'm thinking, how am I going to pay the bills? And my way of dealing with that, as you know, was to drink.
Yeah.
And now it's just a case of, I know I can't drink. I don't drink like normal people. Every time I drink, something abnormal goes on. That's all I know. And I know drink's not the answer anymore.
Sure.
Acceptance manifests as follows. You're no longer deluded by the belief that alcohol is a magical panacea for all life's problems. Acknowledgement that drinking ends up in persecution and destruction. You desire a better quality of life. Although this stage often brings mental and emotional imbalance, by rising to the challenges it presents, you stand to annul your relationship with the sobriety saboteurs and acquire great strength. The acceptance stage sees reality return. Negative thoughts often infiltrate our minds, giving rise to guilt, fear, pain, and futility. Here are some of the thoughts I experienced during this stage. Remember when you did this or that? You should be ashamed of yourself. All these people are paying you compliments. If only they knew what you're really like, they'd hate you. Life is monotonous and boring. I need to escape. The corrosive inner dialogue starts subtly and builds up to a crescendo, if we allow it to. Our self-esteem can take a pounding as the sobriety saboteurs set about annihilating our self-perception. With our defences low, the maladaptive thoughts of the ism start to creep in. Drink will cure this, drink cures everything. Hypnotised by this seductive inner voice and laden with feelings of self-disdain, our mind begins to vacillate between enslavement and enlightenment. Drink sobriety, drink sobriety, drink sobriety. Stop, stop, stop. If you should experience any of these symptoms, if you should find yourself teetering on the edge of uncertainty, stop and center yourself. Do not be drawn in. Do not slip back into unconscious processing and regress to your old ways of thinking. You are on the threshold of freedom. A life beyond your wildest dreams is now imminent. Awareness is the key to successfully negotiating this stage. Stay alert. Live life consciously. What you experience is not a step backwards, it is an inevitable stage of your growth. A prime opportunity to show the sobriety saboteurs who's in charge and transcend their influence. Rather than recoiling from the negative offerings of the sobriety saboteurs, just allow your inner dialogue to be. Thoughts in and of themselves are ineffectual. It's only when our awareness is consumed by them that they assume power. It's only when we believe them that they take on life. Instead of owning these corrosive thoughts, simply observe them. Remain detached and stay centered in your high awareness. From this dissociated perspective, notice that the troublesome thoughts are simply fleeting impulses of energy and information. Nothing more, nothing less. Without a power source to sustain them, your awareness, they will abate. Simply watch them arise and dissipate back into the nothingness from where they came. We have 60,000 thoughts a day and most of them passed unacknowledged. As you remain detached and observe the contents of your mind, repeat the following affirmation to yourself. Today I allow my life to unfold from the wisdom and intelligence of my higher self. Continual practice of this technique will see the demise of the sobriety saboteurs. Deprived of the attention that empowers them, they will abate. Subsequently, your inner wisdom will prevail, and your mind will return to a state of equanimity. A relaxed mind is a very productive mind. So once equanimity is attained, you're on the road to optimal functioning and manifesting your dreams. Along with the return of challenging thoughts, the acceptance stage also sees the return of our emotions. This can be a disconcerting experience, a time of intense emotional activity in which our feelings are prone to ebb and flow between contrasting polarities, up and down, high and low, sorrow and joy. Again, this is a normal and inevitable stage of your progression. It tells you that your freedom is imminent. Meet it with gratitude, like a pendulum swinging to and fro before coming to rest in the center. Our emotions have a tendency to vacillate back and forth before coming to rest in peace. Emotional imbalance is a sign of your humanness returning. Years of drinking had rendered you emotionally bankrupt, lifeless, detached, and devoid of purpose. Now the energy that breathes life into your experience is returning. Give thanks, you are human again. Feelings are an integral part of the human experience. They colour and enrich our lives. Embrace your emotions, they are a sign of your humanness returning.
I just realised before, it's actually, when you add it up, it's actually 6 months now
Yeah.
that you've gone without a drink, and
was-
I think that's brilliant, bro. I mean, well done.
Jeez,
Really
it
think
was
that's fantastic.
It was 6 months last Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, brilliant. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to say well done. You know, I
I feel-
appreciate that.
I feel really good now, and thanks to you, and thanks to Jenny and the kids, because they did, they did bring me round to things. But I feel so good now, I'm not thinking about drink 24 hours a day. It seems like all my problems have just gone, like it is 6 months sort of thing. I feel like I want to be out there and I want to start things up and help people and whatever. And to be honest with you now, I'm feeling so good. I've cracked it, I think, I'm pretty sure I've cracked it. I don't even think I need to go to any of these support groups anymore.
I mean, I'm really pleased for it. I'm glad it's going well, but are you sure that's a good idea not to go to the support groups anymore?
After accepting an alcohol habit and negotiating the bumpy period described above, life without drink can be a liberating and exciting experience. Problems and unresolved issues are temporarily forgotten and supplanted by a great sense of relief. Provisional control is resumed and the unconscious strategies that drive the alcohol habit lay dormant for a while. This surreal stage is often referred to as the honeymoon period.
A time when quitting alcohol appears much more than ever anticipated. A time when quitting alcohol appears much easier than ever anticipated. The honeymoon period can last anything from a few days to a couple of years, but inevitably the trials and tribulations of life do return to challenge us. Remember, we may have stopped drinking, but, as yet, we have not eradicated the catalysts that give rise to our destructive tendencies. The end of the honeymoon period is commonly associated with relapse. People become complacent, and the sobriety saboteurs weave themselves into the growing disquiet of their minds, ready to mount a psychological ambush. For years, alcohol anaesthetised our turbulent feelings and suppressed our troublesome thoughts. Then we crossed the abreactive threshold and they came flooding back to consciousness. Now drink serves only to heighten our distress, so we quit. After the short but unpleasant business of withdrawal, our problems temporarily abate as we enjoy the novel experience of life without drink. Pressure begins to build, however, as loved ones and friends sing our praises and take delight in watching our progress. As each day passes, their expectations rise. Though part of us revels in the praise and respect we're receiving, simmering beneath the surface is often doubt and uncertainty. Fear of letting our loved ones down. What if I relapse? Will I make it? Imagine the devastation if I drank. As doubt and fear begin to veil the initial excitement evoked from the novel experience of sobriety, the honeymoon period tends to subside. When the honeymoon period ends, it can feel like a major setback, but once again, this is an inevitable stage of your progress. It is not natural to stay on a permanent high. That is often a sign of imbalance in which your problems are veiled by denial. The river of life inevitably bounces off the banks of both pleasure and displeasure. Flow with it. Alchemists, like the elements of fire, consume every obstacle in their way and use their energy as fuel for themselves. Every obstacle encountered can be transformed into life-enhancing energy. For example, when we live life consciously, we realize that the underlying fears and doubts experienced during the honeymoon period serve an extremely positive purpose. They prevent complacency from setting in. All that is happening when you come down from the honeymoon period is that you are attaining balance and preparing yourself for the next stage of evolution. The magic is within your grasp. Stay with it. Rather than being a linear progression whereby one experiences denial, moves smoothly through to the honeymoon period, and lives happily ever after, these stages are commonly cyclic. People tend to get so far, then regress back to a prior stage, or start the whole cycle again. Don't be alarmed should this happen to you. You are still progressing. The six-stage process is sieve-like in nature. Each time a loss cycles through the stages, a little more pain is filtered away and you acquire more strength and wisdom. Remember, there is no failure, only feedback. Should you veer off course, use your experience as feedback. Refine your future strategies in accordance with the feedback you receive and set course for a life beyond your wildest dreams. The key to moving through the six-stage transition successfully is your attitude. Look at each stage as a logical progression on the road to freedom. Honour your improvements. Though it may be difficult to appreciate at the time, acknowledge your efforts and know that you are evolving towards your true potential. Move through the stages with a sense of challenge, expectation and excitement. Know that each discovery you make about yourself propels you towards self-mastery. A healthy person who suffers loss eventually accepts it and moves on. Now it's your time to move on and harness the infinite possibilities that life has to offer.